This pampered young master's got smooth skin and a pretty face. Even when he cries, he's quite a sight. The 8 Union's boss's little grandson got snatched right off the plane. Who are you people? Why'd you grab me? In the empty space. All that answered him was wild laughter. The young master quickly sensed trouble. He tried working his wrists loose, begging through his tears. Please don't kill me. My grandpa's loaded. Any ransom, you name it. But at those words, he was met with roaring laughter again. Then the hall door swung open. A man in a sharp suit walked in. The man swirled his glass, his tone dripping with scorn. Some punk kid still wet behind the ears thinks he can lead the 8 Union. While the young master was still puzzling over who these kidnappers were, red wine poured down over his head. Next second, the blindfold over his eyes got ripped off roughly. The young master finally saw the man's face. He knew this guy. Chen Qingyu, one of the 8 Union's 7 directors. Chen Qingyu lifted the young master's chin with his rough Kalao's hand. The young master's skin was smooth and glowing. Those alluring eyes sparkled like black obsidian. Chen Qingyu narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect the spoiled hair to recognize him. The young master knelt there as the man tilted his chin up. He struggled and twisted. You're just one of my grandpa's dogs. At those words, Chen Qingyu's eyes changed instantly. He grabbed the young master by the collar, dragged him to a massive table in the center, tossed him onto it like a sack. The rope around the young master's wrist came loose. He sat up gasping, licked his lips, flashed a creepy smile with murderous eyes. The smile vanished quick. Chen Qingyu brought his wine-stained fingers to his lips and licked them, looking at the young master, prettier than any girl. Chen Qingyu reached out, grabbed at the young master's white shirt. The young master's face crumpled instantly. What'd I do wrong? Why are you picking on me? I'm telling Grandpa to break your legs. Chen Qingyu leaned down, pinning the young master. Told him if he didn't want to die, he'd better lie still. The young master bit his lip, tears welling up in his eyes. Uncle, I'm fragile. Can't handle being scared. Don't be mean. Maybe out of twisted amusement. Chen Qingyu threatened the young master. Said if he kept crying, he'd let the other guys have fun with him. Make him cry all night. At that, the young master stopped crying immediately. Fear and hurt written all over his face. Watching him cry up close like that, Chen Qingyu couldn't help but laugh. Little rabbit scares easy. Chen Qingyu's smile faded fast. Then he signaled. Told his guys to clear out. What Chen Qingyu, so sure of himself, didn't know was that the day before the young master came home, he made a bet with his grandpa, Xu Zhangqian, head of the 8 Union, over video call. The old man worried the young master would get eaten alive by the sharks in the 8 Union, told him to keep his head down once he got back. But the young master brushed it off. A bunch of old mad dogs, how bad can they be? But the old man still worried. Kept warning him to watch out for Chen Qingyu. The young master smiled sweetly, made a bet with the old man. Bet Chen Qingyu would willingly back him as boss and clean up the 8 Union for him. Yet everyone under his thumb, hearing his grandson say that, the old man laughed hard. He thought it was pure fantasy. But the young master didn't care how hard it was. The harder, the better. More fun. After ending the call, the young master went back dealing with 2 rats. The seemingly innocent young master was actually a scheming mastermind facing a crazy uncle trying to control him. The young master played the helpless bunny. Yesterday's kidnapping felt like a dream. When Xuran woke up again, he was already in his own bed. When his second uncle asked, Xuran didn't mention the kidnapping. That night, Xuran went with Grandpa to a party. The moment Xuran showed up, everyone had their eyes on him. Some middle-aged guy appeared out of nowhere, ran his hand through Xuran's hair, even rubbed his ear. Second uncle's protective, smacked the guy's hand away right off. 2 lifelong bachelors going at it. Grandpa watched, totally used to it. He took Xuran to meet the directors. When the directors saw Chairman Shu arrive, they all stood up. Xuran noticed Chen Qingyu wasn't there. He asked Grandpa on purpose whose seat was empty. One of the directors spoke up first, said Boss Qing had business. Might be late. Xuran threw out a comment. All those years studying abroad, Grandpa always talked about Uncle Chen. Said he joined the 8 Union young. Truly loyal. Oh, Grandpa's right hand man. At that, the directors all rushed to agree, praising Chen Qingyu's skills,
his character.
Listening to them, Xuran smiled politely. But inside he was thinking, these lapdogs hide it too good for too long. Can't even tell who their real master is. A few minutes later, Chen Qingyu showed up late. Seeing Xuran, Chen Qingyu acted like it was their first meeting, made small talk. When Xuran looked up at him, his shoulders started trembling, like he was terrified. Chen Qingyu gripped Xuran's shoulder hard, told him not to be shy. Just call him uncle. Xuran was clearly nervous. Shaking all over, sweat on his forehead. Xuran's reaction was weird, but the old man stayed calm, reminded Xuran to stand and toast. At Grandpa's prompt, Xuran stood up timidly. But Chen Qingyu grabbed his wrist, asked if he wasn't adjusting well, said he looked pale. Before Xuran could answer, Chen Qingyu suggested Xuran go upstairs and rest. Xuran was about to refuse, but seeing the man's commanding look, Xuran agreed. Once they reached the lounge upstairs, the second the door shut, the man's smile vanished. He showed his fangs in the dark. I warned you. Next time we meet, act like strangers. Shu Ran's heart jumped. Didn't I do what you said? I didn't tell Grandpa. Sure. But Chen Qingyu was nitpicking on purpose. Young Master Ran's acting was terrible. Shaking just looking at me. Right then, he grabbed Shu Ran by the back of the neck, shoved him down hard to the floor. Chen Qingyu sat on the couch, looking down at Shu Ran on the ground, gave a 3-word order. Lighter. Shu Ran saw the lighter on the coffee table, started to get up to grab it. Chen Qingyu cleared his throat. Did I say you could stand? Crawl. Getting the lighter. Shu Ran cursed Chen Qingyu in his head. He'd make Chen Qingyu crawl like a dog too. On the ground, even though he was seething inside. On the surface, he put on a pitiful look. Don't push it. My grandpa never was downstairs. Chen Qingyu stayed calm, pulled out a photo he carried. Started admiring it out loud. What a beautiful body. Just lacks some backbone. Seeing that photo, Shu Ran's face went red. That was from the day Chen Qingyu kidnapped him, knocked him out and took pictures. Shu Ran reached to snatch the photo, but Chen Qingyu pulled back, told Shu Ran to light his cigarette. Shu Ran had no choice but to crawl over. Uncle Chen, can you lean down? Bad uncle blackmails the young master into kissing him, but the young master thinks he's too old. So, bad uncle had to take matters into his own hands. Your eyes are beautiful. Shu Ran tilted his face up. Just my eyes. Chen Qingyu brushed his eyebrows, lost in those eyes without realizing. Said everything's beautiful. Shu Ran grabbed Chen Qingyu's thigh. Uncle Chen, I got a secret to tell you. Lin Nanian. Chen Qingyu held his cigarette, leaned down, confused, catching him off guard. Shu Ran snatched the photo from his right hand. He was upset, but Chen Qingyu just smiled, his cigarette in hand. Helpfully reminded Shu Ran, help yourself. He's got plenty more. Shu Ran pouted, on the verge of tears, rested his face against Chen Qingyu's thigh. Boss Qing, stop bullying me. A smart little pet can be quite likable. Chen Qingyu casually pressed on Shu Ran's lips. Depends if you behave. Shu Ran was totally docile. I'll behave. I'm good. I'll do whatever you say, okay? Chen Qingyu's eyes darkened. Really anything. Shu Ran's bright eyes sparkled, full of feeling. Easy to get lost in. Qingyu breathed hard, told Shu Ran to kiss him, just as Chen Qingyu was lost in the kiss. The Shu Ran opened his mouth, bit down on the hand touching his lips. Chen Qingyu winced, shoved Shu Ran away hard. Shu Ran licked the blood off his lips, flat out refused. You're like 30-something, and you want to kiss me? Shameless. Chen Qingyu felt a sharp sting. This kid just called him old. Total buzzkill. He asked if Shu Ran would kiss him. One question. But Shu Ran still said no. Next second, the man grabbed him by the waist and yanked him up. Chen Qingyu breathed in the young master's scent, voice low and rough. Called me old? Ha. Guess I'll just have to force you. Chen Qingyu wiped the blood from Shu Ran's lips. Said he could have Shu Ran's pretty pictures all over the city by noon tomorrow. Shu Ran froze. Started crying instantly. No, that'd be so embarrassing. You might as well kill me. Chen Qingyu laughed at his pathetic crying. You should be glad you ran into me first. The other directors aren't as easygoing as Uncle Chen. Just be my puppet pay. I'll keep you alive. Shu Ran smacked the man's hand away, stared at him suspiciously. Why should I trust you? You want the chairman's spot too. Chen Qingyu's expression darkened immediately. You don't have a choice. Shu Ran looked at him, didn't know what to say. He reached around the man's neck, kissed his forehead. I'm too young to die. You'll protect me. Right. Chen Qingyu still didn't buy it. Shu Zhangqing wouldn't raise a useless air. He asked if Shu Ran was acting. Before Shu Ran could answer, Chen Qingyu pressed him down and kissed him. Chen Qingyu's kiss was like a storm, rough and domineering, just like him. Formal jacket tossed aside, Shu Ran's right shoulder exposed. Chen Qingyu's eyes glazed over. Then he leaned close to Shu Ran's ear, his tone playful. This is our secret. Please take care of me from now on. Young Master Shu. His racing heart calmed down. Shu Ran glared angrily at Chen Qingyu, gasping for breath. This despicable guy. Chen Qingyu got what he wanted from that kiss. He said he loved seeing him furious, yet unable to fight back. Like a punching bag, especially cute. A bit later, after Shu Ran left the room without a word, he went straight to the bathroom. At the sink, he scrubbed his lips that Chen Qingyu had kissed with disgust, sneering inwardly. Just you wait. I'll take you down sooner or later. The moment the young master ran into the bad uncle, he just wanted to run. But the bad uncle was quick. He not only locked the young master in his arms, he also threatened the young master to go to the bar with him after work. On Shu Ran's first day at the company, the old man assigned him a personal bodyguard. The bodyguard's name was Super, carefully selected by the old man. Shu Ran knew he had a sidekick now, and he wasn't shy about it. He pushed the folder in his hand directly to Xu Bin, telling him to take him to the conference room, while he walked with his hands behind his back, strutting along. Scattered meetings went on all day. Xu Ran was so bored he almost fell asleep. While Xu Ran was in meetings, Xu Bin stood guard at the door the whole time. Even though Xu Ran said there'd be no danger at the company, Xu Bin insisted on following him to shake off the surveillance. Xu Ran started acting like a kid throwing a tantrum. When Xu Bin wasn't paying attention, he picked up speed and ran to the bathroom. Xu Bin, who was following him, got shut out of the bathroom. While undoing his belt, Xu Ran was still complaining. So paranoid, acting like someone's gonna assassinate me. The moment he said that, Chen Qingyu walked past him from behind and stopped on his right. Seeing Chen Qingyu beside him, Xu Ran felt his luck was terrible today. After finishing, he pulled up his pen and tried to bolt. Chen Qingyu was just as quick. He grabbed Xu Ran's chin and locked him in his arms.
Where are you running to?
Uncle's not a ghost. Xu Ran's germaphobe system kicked. He struggled and yelled at Chen Qingyu, hadn't washed his hands. Chen Qingyu realized this. He quickly switched to covering Xu Ran's mouth with his sleeve. You better keep it down. You don't want people outside to hear either. Though Xu Ran nodded. Tears still slid from his eyes. Seeing the young master looking so pitiful, Chen Qingyu got even more excited. His Adam's apple bobbed involuntarily. Then he leaned close to Xu Ran's ear, telling him not to leave after work. He had something for him. But the next second, the young master ducked down, broke free from Chen Qingyu's embrace, and ran off in a flash. The young master's resistance sparked Chen Qingyu's interest. He watched Xu Ran run away, and smiled with bad intentions. But the young master thought after running away, he wouldn't run into the bad uncle again. But in the afternoon at the elevator, he ran into Chen Qingyu again. This immediately put Xu Ran in a bad mood. The more he thought about it, the more unlucky he felt today. The elevator doors opened. Ron very politely gestured for Chen Qingyu to go first, but Chen Qingyu didn't even glance at him. He just walked straight into the elevator. In the packed elevator, the bad uncle's hand found the young master's waist. He rubbed the young master's waist. His hand kept sliding down. Not only that, the bad uncle also threatened the young master to go to the bar with him after work. The young master wanted to refuse, saying his family was strict, but the bad uncle laid it out cold. While I'm willing to negotiate with you, you better quit while you're ahead. When the elevator doors opened, a kiss that left no room for refusal had left. Though the young master wanted to eat him alive, against the bad uncle, the young master was helpless. Every side of the little rabbit tugged at the bad uncle's heart. When the bad uncle saw the little rabbit's defiant side, his heart skipped a beat. The young master was coaxed by the bad uncle to the bar. In just the time it took for the bad uncle to take a call, the young master caught someone else's eye. Seeing the young master attracting so much attention, Chen Qingyu downed his drink. Seeing the guy about to ask the young master to dance, Chen Qingyu grabbed the young master by the collar and yanked him back. He told the guy the young master was spoken for. Seeing Chen Qingyu being possessive, the guy wisely left. The dance floor was crowded. Chen Qingyu, with his arm around the young master's waist, joined the crowd. You moved to the music. The young master leaned against Chen Qingyu and sniffed carefully. He asked Chen Qingyu why he smelled sour, like vinegar. Chen Qingyu was too proud to admit it. He said, the young master smelled wrong. The young master held back. He didn't call him out. Then, the young master stood on his toes and leaned closer to Chen Qingyu. Qing, with this atmosphere, shouldn't we do something? Chen Qingyu looked at the young master's upturned face and kissed him without hesitation. The enclosed space, the loud, thumping music, and the dim lighting slowly messed with Chen Qingyu's head. As the alcohol kicked in, Chen Qingyu drunkenly kissed the young master's neck. Young master, you have a special scent. The young master's eyes were hazy. He asked Chen Qingyu what kind of scent. Chen Qingyu didn't think. He just blurted out, I like it. You smell like a hunter. After saying that, Chen Qingyu bit down hard on the young master's neck. When blood seeped from the young master's neck, he let go. Chen Qingyu touched the blood on his lips and said, now you're mine. In an instant, the young master suddenly sobered up. He grabbed Chen Qingyu by the collar and pulled him over. He captured his lips. When they were kissing inseparably, he bit down hard. Chen Qingyu winced in pain. He immediately pushed him away. The young master licked the blood on his lips. As if it were natural, he replied, Uncle Chen, I'm not one of those docile, people-pleasing little lambs you're used to. You bite me, I bite you back. Whether it was the alcohol, when the bad uncle saw the little rabbit's defiant side, his heart actually skipped a beat. He excitedly pulled the young master into his arms, enjoying the young master's unique scent. Then he said, his voice a bit slurred, I'm starting to like you. After saying that, Chen Qingyu passed out drunk, so on top of the young master, and they both collapsed to the floor. The young master took the drunk Chen Qingyu home. He thoughtfully took the hangover soup from the maid, and took on the task of looking after Chen Qingyu. But once the maid turned to leave, he immediately performed a real-life disappearing smile. Once the maid was gone, he propped up Chen Qingyu, and with no expression, poured the medicine straight into Chen Qingyu's mouth. The harsh, bitter hangover soup made Chen Qingyu cough, and slowly open his eyes. Chen Qingyu rubbed his aching temples, and looked at the young master in confusion. What are you doing here? The young master's eyes were full of concern. Thinking back to what happened before he got drunk, Chen Qingyu slowly moved to the young master's neck. He asked with concern, does your neck still hurt? The young master put down the bowl. It's just a scratch. It's almost healed. After saying that, the young master was about to get up and leave. Chen Qingyu reached out and grabbed him. His gaze was intense. He insisted on seeing the injury on the young master's neck. One pretending to apply medicine to check for a birthmark, one reluctantly going to bed to steal secrets. Two people with their own agendas, actually evenly matched. Xu Ran sat on the edge of the bed. He unbuttoned his shirt and slipped it off his shoulders. Ran's neck and shoulder line was soft and elegant, especially those beautiful shoulder blades. Chen Qingyu took the chance while disinfecting to gently lift the back of Xu Ran's shirt. Xu Ran had a birthmark on his back about the size of a thumb, shaped like a plum blossom. While applying the medicine, Qingyu found himself drawn to the waistline, peeking out from the folds of Xu Ran's shirt. Such a slender waist, like it could snap with just a little pressure. Xu Ran put on an innocent, clueless act. Uncle, what are you looking at? Seeing the young master offering himself, looking good enough to eat, Chen Qingyu threw his clothes at him, told him to get dressed and get lost. Watching Chen Qingyu's retreating figure, Xu Ran smirked with bad intentions. Not long after, while Chen Qingyu was showering, Xu Ran pushed open the glass door and poked his head in through the misty steam. Xu Ran saw the man's muscular chest. Xu Ran said Xu Bing couldn't come pick him up. He asked Chen Qingyu if he could stay over for the night. Chen Qingyu didn't agree right away. He thought for a moment, then told Xu Ran to stay in the guest room next door. Seeing Xu Ran still not leaving, Chen Qingyu asked what was wrong now. Xu Ran tilted his head, his face all flushed. He asked Chen Qingyu if they couldn't sleep together. He said he was a good sleeper. He didn't snore. After a few seconds of silence, looking at the pitiful young master, Chen Qingyu sighed and finally agreed. When Chen Qingyu came out of the bathroom, Xu Ran was already in bed asleep. Just as Chen Qingyu turned off the light to sleep, the young master threw his leg over him. Chen Qingyu wasn't softened by this pretty sleeping face or feeling anything. Without hesitation, he kicked Xu Ran's leg right back. But within seconds of kicking it back, Xu Ran bare hugged Chen Qingyu and whimpered. Chen Qingyu grabbed Xu Ran by the collar through gritted teeth, his tone angry. If you don't want to sleep, just get out. Don't pull these pointless stunts. Xu Ran woke up. His body went limp, and he leaned against Chen Qingyu's leg. He mumbled groggily, Uncle Chen, do you bring men home a lot? Chen Qingyu flicked Xu Ran's forehead. Do I look that sleazy? Xu Ran looked up sleepily, grinning cheekily. So you're saying, I'm the first person to sleep in your bed. Do you like me? Chen Qingyu pushed Xu Ran away and got out of bed. I don't do feelings. You've got the wrong guy. Watching Chen Qingyu storm out, Xu Ran's expression gradually changed. His tone, dismissive. What a coincidence. Me neither. While Chen Qingyu was showering earlier, he'd secretly copied files from his computer. The other directors from powerful families in the 8 Harmony Society were all handpicked by his grandfather. Every decision, big or small. But Chen Qingyu was different. He happened to save Xu Zhengqin from enemies and was recruited into the society. Chen Qingyu, with his powerful abilities, became the only director in the 8 Harmony Society, not from a powerful family. A kid from the slums to becoming second in command of the 8 Harmony Society. It only took him about 10 years. Xu Ran, as if making up his mind, his face hardened. The young master drunkenly seduced the bad uncle. Just when the bad uncle was about to have his way with the young master, someone interrupted them. Chen Qingyu went to the company rooftop to clear his head. Xu Ran followed right behind him. Xu Ran grabbed Chen Qingyu's drink and took several gulps. Xu Ran could tell Chen Qingyu wasn't happy today, so he asked, what was wrong? He didn't want to say much more, but with Xu Ran's subtle probing and his empathetic approach, the two of them rarely shared beers and had a heart-to-heart chat. From their talk, Xu Ran learned that Chen Qingyu was born in a slum town. His mother was abandoned by her lover when she was young, got pregnant before marriage and gave birth to him. The mother and son endured constant gossip from neighbors. Unable to bear the rumors, his mother took her own life. After that, he came to the capital alone to make his way. After hearing about Chen Qingyu's tragic childhood, Xu Ran wrapped around him like an octopus. Uncle Chen, if you're sad, just cry. You can lean on my shoulder. I can care for you in their place. We're friends. Chen Qingyu tried to push Xu Ran away, but Xu Ran clung to him. He held tight to his waist. Seeing this, Chen Qingyu just gave up. Xu Ran, I actually saw you a long time ago. Xu Ran looked up at him, totally surprised. Chen Qingyu continued. That year I just came to the underground city to make a living. I saw Xu Zhengqin invite many wealthy businessmen to celebrate your birthday. You were so small then, surrounded by people, like a bright and shiny little prince from a fairy tale. He looked down. Their eyes met. Chen Qingyu saw up close Xu Ran's emerald-colored eyes. Just when something might happen between them, the alcohol hit Xu Ran. He collapsed right into Chen Qingyu's arms. Chen Qingyu carried Xu Ran to the underground parking garage. He put him in his car. Staring at Xu Ran's pretty face flushed with red, Chen Qingyu couldn't help but worry. Looks like I have to watch out from now on. Can't let him go to bars alone. If he gets blackout drunk and someone finds him, they'd eat him up without leaving a trace. Chen Qingyu was about to close the car door and take him home, when Xu Ran whimpered and grabbed his sleeve, pulling himself onto him. He mumbled something about feeling bad. When he reached out to check Xu Ran's forehead temperature, Xu Ran lifted his head. His dark eyes sparkled like stars. He took the man's hand and placed it on his face, his voice soft and gentle. A kiss will make it better. Realizing he'd been tricked, Chen Qingyu raised an eyebrow. Before he could say anything, Xu Ran grabbed his tie and pulled him down. kissing him right on the lips. As things heated up, Chen Qingyi felt a rush of heat. He restrained the hands sliding down his body. Stop it. Keep this up and I won't be able to hold back. Xu Ran's eyes were full of temptation. Then don't hold back. At this, Chen Qingyi's self-control instantly crumbled. Just as Chen Qingyi was about to make a move, a car shone its blinding headlights on him and honked its horn. Seeing who it was, Chen Qingyu felt totally deflated. Xu Bin walked calmly up to Chen Qingyu. He said the president ordered that before midnight, young Master Ren must return home safely. While Chen Qingyu blocked the car door, narrowing his eyes. What if I don't hand him over? Xu Bin's dead fish eyes looked creepy, totally at odds with his clean, cut face. After a tense standoff, Chen Qingyu gave up first. He didn't know what came over him just now, how his mind got all hot and filled with crazy thoughts. He'd even forgotten that he was just a naive kid. Thinking about it, he felt pretty guilty. Bin Banjiang picked up Xu Ran and walked in the opposite direction. Xu Ran in his arms opened his eyes. Watching the bad uncle with women on each arm, the young master leaned against the table looking like a lonely statue, his face fuller. Ever since he almost lost control and jumped to Xu Ran, Chen Qingyi lately had been deliberately keeping his distance from Xu Ran. He always put fame and fortune first. There's no way he'd be head over heels for some breath. Even if he felt something, he had to cut his losses right away. That day, when they gathered at a bar, Xu Ran followed along too. He sat in the booth out front, staring hard at Chen Qingyu. Hu Ying noticed something fishy between the two. He jokingly asked Chen Qingyu if he liked the guy, but Chen Qingyu flat out denied. Seeing his big bro being so stubborn, Hu Ying grabbed his drink and went over to flirt. From Chen Qingyu's angle, it looked like Xu Ran smiled and replied something to Hu Ying. Hu Ying came back wagging his tail happily. Chen Qingyu asked Hu Ying what they talked about. Hu Ying shrugged. He repeated it word for word. I asked if you wanted to dance. He smiled real sweet and said, get lost, you lapdog. Chen Qingyi couldn't help it. He burst out laughing. Hu Ying continued, saying young Master Shu also ordered for him to tell that old mangy dog next to him to come over. Hearing that, Chen Qingyi's smile froze instantly. Seeing Hu Ying laughing at him, Chen Qingyu's eyes darkened. He told Hu Ying and find him a few clean, cut young guys. Realizing Xu Ran was watching him from nearby, Chen Qingyi draped his arm over the shoulder of someone next to him and started chatting and laughing. Xu Ran in the distance watched this scene, grinding his molar so hard they almost cracked. The next second, he pulled out a card and slammed it on the table, like a cat with its fur standing on end. He told the waiter to bring him a dozen hot guys too, not only young ones, but ones full of energy. Moments later, Xu Ran was having the time of his life surrounded by men. He touched their abs while glancing over at Chen Qingyu. Seeing Chen Qingyu not reacting, Xu Ran gritted his teeth, pulled several guys onto the dance floor, and started dancing and stripping. Hu Ying urged Chen Qingyi to go get him down, but Chen Qingyu didn't react. When Hu Ying nagged him enough, Chen Qingyu finally stood up. He pushed through the crowd, grabbed Xu Ran's wrist, and asked if he'd had enough. Xu Ran yanked his hand away with a fierce look. He said it's none of his business. He also asked what right he had to interfere. Maybe it was that question that got to him. Chen Qingyu hoisted Xu Ran up and carried him out, leaving the noisy crowd. They found a private room. Chen Qingyu muttered to himself about his weak willpower, being led around by the nose by a kid. Xu Ran kept wailing for a good 10 minutes. Chen Qingyu handed him his handkerchief, telling Xu Ran to wipe his face, but his eyes never even looked at him. He just kept staring at his phone. Seeing this, Xu Ran angrily wiped his tears all over Chen Qingyu's arm. Then he asked Chen Qingyu pitifully if he was going back to find those men. Chen Qingyu didn't dare look him in the eye. He turned his head away, saying it was just a game. After hearing that, Xu Ran sat right on his lap, face to face. You really are scum who plays with people's feelings. Are you treating me the same way? Chen Qingyu grabbed Xu Ran's hands. His words were sharp. We're rivals. What feelings are there? Bad uncle won't own up to what he's done. They've had meals, gone on dates, and kissed. But bad uncle denies there's anything between them. Hearing Chen Qingyi say, we're rivals, and there are no feelings, Xu Ran immediately burst into tears. His eyes were teary, the corners red from crying. Watching the heartbroken Xu Ran cry nonstop, Chen Qingyu cupped his face and kissed him without thinking. Xu Ran held Chen Qingyi tight, leaning close to his ear to ask, if someday I'm no longer useful to you, will you kill me? Chen Qingyi didn't hesitate. He said no right away. Xu Ran held Chen Qingyu's face. He asked Chen Qingyi if he wanted to have a passionate romance with him. Hearing this, Chen Qingyu's expression stiffened. All kinds of emotions flashed across his face. He didn't dare respond directly. From that moment on, the young master, getting no answer, decided to give up on this one-sided crush. He pushed away Chen Qingyi's outstretched hand, saying he wouldn't bother him anymore. He asked Chen Qingyi to let him be alone for a while. After Chen Qingyi left the room, he wandered around in a daze. Once he was sure the guy was gone, Xu Ran in the room broke into a confident smile. A few days later, at an important Eight Alliances meeting, Chen Qingyu was totally distracted. All his attention was on Xu Ran across from him. Ever since that day at the bar, when Xu Ran tearfully confessed to it, and he walked away without making his feelings clear. Xu Ran hadn't acknowledged him since. After the meeting ended, Chen Qingyu took the initiative to talk to Xu Ran. He looked at the portrait Xu Ran drew in his notebook with a pen and complimented how good it was. Xu Ran was startled by the voice behind him. He quickly covered the notebook. Didn't you hate people, knowing there's something between us? Why are you coming over here? Chen Qingyu suddenly leaned down. They were very close. Even if you say I'm playing with your feelings, you're my bargaining chip. Don't even think about escaping from me. With that, he turned and left. Xu Ran watched his retreating figure, a cunning glint in his eyes. actually behind that portrait and taken many notes. The next afternoon, Qingyu came to the office looking for Shu Ran, but didn't see him. Realizing Shu Ran was avoiding him, he immediately called him. Shu Ran was driving his sports car straight to the underground city. He saw Chen Qingyu's call and purposely left it unanswered. When the second call came, he slowed down and reluctantly answered. Learning Shu Ran was going to the underground city alone, Chen Qingyu immediately panicked. He grabbed his jacket and rushed over. Shu Ran asked Chen Qingyu if he was worried about him, but Chen Qingyu stubbornly refused to admit. He said he was afraid something would happen to him, and Xu Zhengqing would find another puppet, ruining his plan. Hearing Chen Qingyu's cold words, Shu Ran decisively ended the call. This trip to the underground city actually had a purpose for Xu Ran. Right now, the 8 alliances were all Chen Qingyu's people. To compete with Chen Qingyu, his only option was the Lu family, the wealthiest family. Now he had to find a way to remove a board member and let them invest. The board member was easy to deal. The Lu family had 2 sons. The eldest was disabled in his right leg and had been withdrawn for years. Right now, he couldn't reach him. The second son was the Lu family's little bitch, a playboy. Shu Ran thought maybe he'd run into him at the underground city. The guards stopped him, asking for his pass. The young master was called to Bad Uncle's place late at night. He thought Bad Uncle was going to have his way with him. But the next second, Bad Uncle told him to pull up his pants and get out. Chen Qingyu couldn't get hold of the young master, so he used his nude photos to threaten the young master to come see him. The young master looked at this blatant blackmail message and reluctantly headed to Chen Qingyu's place. But the servant led Shu Ran to the door and stepped away. Shu Ran was about to reach for the doorknob when Chen Qingyu beat him to it while turning the handle and yanking him inside. Without a word, he pushed him against the wall and kissed him. Shu Ran so angry he could barely breathe, trying to call a stop to it. But Chen Qingyu didn't care. In no time, he smoothly pulled Shu Ran's pants down. Shu Ran couldn't take it anymore. He shoved the guy in front of him away, calling me over this late at night. Just for this, are you sick? Chen Qingyu's eyes were cold. He said this was punishment for being late. Then he called Su Ran over to the desk. He pointed at 2 bank transfer records on the computer, saying there's a mole in the alliance. This is the proof. What Chen Qingyu didn't know was this played right into Shu Ran's hands. If he kicked this mole board member out, he could more easily bring in someone of his own choosing. That's what he thought. But on the surface, he still acted panicked. What should I do? Should I expose him to Grandpa? Chen Qingyu stroked Su Ran's hair.